Hi, welcome to my After Stamp Wars video. Our sponsor from Stamp Wars, which was Stamp Wars number 9, was Blue Knight Rubber Stamps. The card that I created is here. I have created a card using colored pencils, and the stamp set is called Sunflower Sunshine. It's got the big sunflower, 2 sentiments, and 3 bumblebees. This is red rubber stamp. And again, I created this card. The rules were each one of us had to create a different size card. I had 5 by 7, and each one of us was to use pattern paper, which I did use some pattern paper. But for this card, my follow-up card, I'm going to be using my Catherine Puller inks as my coloring medium. Okay, so I've already started the project. I just wanted to show you how easy this is. You can use Tombow brush. This is just a, doesn't have any ink in it, doesn't have anything in it, it's just a brush. Or you can even use Fantastics. And I have Fantastics that are shaped like a point or a brush. They also come in a bullet size. So here's what I did, and I'll show you. I have this card here. What I did was this is just accent opaque paper, just 80 pound. I stamped this with Catherine Puller Midnight ink, and I embossed it with clear embossing powder. And then I have this color, it's called Catching Rays, and I take my brush and I dip it into my lid because my lid has some ink on it. And that's how I went and colored my sunflowers. So I started where there's shading, which I colored dark. I'm just tapping my brush onto the ink pad. I'm getting a nice color here. And then to blend that out, I have either a little, you can have a little jar of water, or you can have, I just use my microfiber towel and I spray a little bit of water on it. Now this has water on it, and now I'm just going to blend that out. So the idea being that the darker shading is on the darker areas of the image, and then the lighter shading is where you go ahead and just blend it out. So that works out very, very well, I think. I think Catching Rays is the perfect color for sunflowers, don't you? Doesn't that look nice? Okay, so I've got all my flowers already colored. I need to do some coloring of my leaves. So I just take my Distress sprayer and I just clean my brush. I wipe it on my microfiber towel till I get the color out of it, that it's like an orange color. And then I have a couple colors of green. So I've got In the Park and Garden Party and Grass Skirt. All right, so I've been using In the Park, but I'm going to try some Garden Party. Let's see how this looks. And again, I just take and dip my brush right onto the ink pad. And of course, my glasses are downstairs. All right, this was not a good idea to start this project without glasses, but I definitely like this color. It's a nice bright green, isn't it? It just really pops off the page. Now, for the sake of time, I'm just going to quickly color in the green that I need colored in. I'm not going to do too much blending. These leaves are rather small. I'm not too worried about blending them like I did the sunflower petals. I also have to paint, or use my brush here to color the insides of the sunflowers, or the face, the face of the sunflower. Okay, and then I can go over the leaves that I already colored with this Garden Party. It's very nice. Just reminds me of the color of a sunflower leaf. So it's really nice for this project. If you're not familiar with Stamp Wars, you want to check that out over on Nancy Stamp's YouTube channel. There were competing against each other was me and Stacy, or her channel is S&R Creations from the Heart. Chow, and her channel is Create with Chow. And Ryan, Glitter Grunge Greetings. So we competed against each other. When we opened up that stamp set, that was the first any of us had ever seen it or knew that it was going to be a Blue Night rubber stamp. We had to then complete our card within 1 hour. And of course, like I said, there were different parameters that we had to follow. There were also sabotages that were handed to us that we had to do, sort of workarounds or restrictions that we had to follow. So not only did we have a very short time frame to create a card, in my opinion, I'm a slow crafter. We also had to we also had to follow the rules whenever it came to a sabotage, and we had to comply. So that was fun. It was always interesting because you never know what kind of sabotage you're going to get. Now I'm going to try to clean the green off of this marker. And all I'm doing is just spraying it with water and wiping it on my microfiber towel. And then let's grab some green ink from Catherine Pooler. Okay, so my darkest green, icing on the cake, and I've got Sandcastle and Over Coffee. These are from her neutral collection. I'm going to start with Sandcastle. It's the lightest color. You can also, what Catherine does is just pushes on the lid, and she gets a little bit of ink from the pad on her lid. It's another way to do it. Whoops. See if I can manage to drop anything more. With it being heat embossed with black ink and VersaFine, it definitely makes it easier for me to stay within the lines, even with no glasses on. This is a feat in itself. Yeah, my glasses. I have one pair down in the car and one are down on the dining room table. And they're not doing me any good down there. I'm going to pay special attention to this one because you can really notice it. So I have, because it's right there at the bottom of the card, I'm going to go with another color. I'm going to go with Over Coffee just for the outside of this sunflower face, making it a little bit darker than the inside. Because I used Sandcastle for the inside. And then I'll just take this darker color around the edges of all of these. Hopefully I'm staying fairly in the lines without my glasses. Oh, see, I'm smudging it here onto the card because I accidentally got my hand in the ink, but I'll have to trim that off. Or I can use my sand eraser and erase that off. So with Stamp Wars, it's once a month we have Stamp Wars. And it's sort of a competition. We have you vote on which card you think is the best. We do that on our Facebook group, which is FSC Foiling Snobs Club on Facebook. I'll have a link to that in the description box below. But it's just fun to create a project and have to follow the rules and guidelines. You sort of have to stretch yourself a little bit, get out of your comfort zone a little bit, that's for sure. All right, so I'm just going to take and clean my marker. Just like that. And then it's ready to be used. But let me show you the fantastic, I'll go in with the icing on the cake, which is a nice dark brown. I'll just roll that in here into the Fantastics. The brush of Fantastics, I'll just roll it into there and then use that as my applicator. That's a nice dark color. I might just go around the faces of the sunflower with that nice dark color. It helps to pronounce them a little bit. Definitely this big one here. You can sort of zigzag your line if you keep it real close to the edge. That way it looks more natural. Okay. I'm just going to blend that a little bit with this one side of my, blend that out a little bit. Okay. All right, so we have our sunflowers colored. And I can do the same thing with this Fantastic. It's pretty much a disposable applicator, but if you rinse out the tip with some water, you can use it again. Use it again until it falls apart. Why not? Okay. Now we need to do our sky. What I have here is the Cloud Edger stencil from A Colorful Life Designs. I will have a link below in my description box where you can get this through my affiliate link. But I'm going to show you just on a regular piece of paper here just how this Cloud Edger works. So I've got this color from Catherine Pooler. It's called Cumberbund. I'm going to take a foam applicator. This is just a cosmetic sponge. Dip it into the ink, and then using the stencil, apply it. So I'm actually just very, how can I say this? I'm just going against the edge of the stencil, you know, very, very lightly to try to get this cloud impression. Okay, and as you continue, you can turn it, whoops, turn it in the other direction to get some different cloud shapes. What I like about this stencil, it's the most like natural looking clouds, I think, of a stencil. I just think it's very realistic. And you'll notice that I haven't had to dip my sponge back in that ink yet because it's a very light application. You don't need to use a lot of ink to get this effect. All right, but isn't that beautiful? And that's perfect. And I can use that for another card. But I've got a really nice cloud feature up here. And I can always go like this on the edge just to fill in a little bit of the white at the top because you don't really want that across the top. You don't want it to be completely white. I think that looks really nice. All right, so now I'm going to try to do the same thing on this card. So starting at the top, I'll get close to the edge here, dip it in my ink, rub that on the stencil, and then rub onto the card panel. Yep, and you can also make sure that you cover up your flower using the stencil. You can use it sort of as a mask because you don't want to rub the blue right over top of your flower. You can use the stencil to cover that up and just go around the other sections. So I haven't applied any additional ink, but I'm getting plenty of color here. See that? I like it. You can rotate your stencil, grab another type of cloud edge. I'm going to get a little bit more ink. Okay, make sure you go over on this side. Don't forget this side of your card. You know, you would think that I stamped that right on top of those clouds, but actually the clouds are the last thing that I applied. That looks so good. This is a fantastic stencil. It also comes with this part, so you can use it as well for creating your clouds. All right, I'm going to turn it this way. I'm going to grab a little puffiness here and try to get in between these little flowers here. And I'm just brushing my sponge against the edge of that stencil. The tiniest little sections. And it's filling it in quite nicely, as you can see. You know, without covering what I've already done. All right, so there you see our beautiful clouds in the background. Okay, and then I can take my sponge and just fill in a little bit of blue here in this little gap section. I'm going to trim that section, so I'm not worried about that. It looks pretty good. I like it. All right, so let's go ahead and get our trimmer. And we'll trim this down. Beautiful clouds. Okay. It takes away all the boo-boos that I created, which is nice. I think I need to clean my hands. I'm getting a little bit of ink in my clouds there. I must have some brown ink on my fingertips. Okay. Let me grab a card base and see how we're doing on size here. Okay. So I want to put my matte layer down on top of this. I'm going to trim it just a little bit more. Trim a little bit off the top too. Okay. Okay, so for those sections where I have some brown spots, I can do one of two things. I can go ahead in with my mono sand eraser and try to erase those spots. Or I can add some black splatter. That would help as well. It would make it sort of a little bit grungy, and it would definitely help cover up some of that mistake that I made. I don't know how I got ink all over it down here. But basically I'm just gently rubbing the paper and rubbing that ink right off. This is a sand eraser, so it's got a gritty, it's kind of grit, like it's not a smooth eraser, it's grit eraser. That's why it's called a sand eraser. So I wanted to ask you to check out the videos. So far Nancy has her video up, Ryan and Chow. So I am putting mine up today, and Stacy will have hers up very soon. Check out all of our videos. I'm having a giveaway for my video. And to be eligible for my prize, you have to be a U.S. resident, and you have to be over the age of 18, and you have to make a comment below. Any comment counts, but you must make a comment in order to be eligible to win my prize packet. And I will be pulling my winner live on Nancy's channel on Saturday. So you can look for us to be live again as a group on Saturday, where we will pick a winner. And Nancy, on her video, if you comment, you have the chance to win the actual Sunflower Sunshine stamp set. That's what she'll be giving away. All right, let's get our sentiments out and finish this card. Oh, I also have, and I got this idea from Stacy. I have this really cool piece of pattern paper that I'm going to trim down to make a mat. I think it's a really nice, like a wood, it is a wood pattern. I thought that would look nice. And this is actually what Stacy used, something like this for her card base. So definitely want to say I got the idea from her. But each of us were to use a piece of pattern paper on our card. So following the rules here, making a matte layer. So my card is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. All right, so I'm just going to make my mat just slightly smaller than that. I could make it 4, but I'm just going to go a little bit above a 4. That's the size my mat's going to be. And then my card base goes to 5 1/2. So I will take this 5 1/4, just slightly over 5 1/4 for this cut. All right. Then hopefully this is going to work. Hopefully I did this right. Looks like I cut it too short. So let's grab this other one. See, we've got a nice mat then around the card panel. Let's trim this. 5 1/2. Looks like I'm going to have to go the full 5 1/2 for that mat. Make sure it's going to fit on my base. It's a little bit too big. It's all these little tiny trims you have to do at the end just to make sure everything fits right. And I'll probably have to trim my card panel a little bit more. Actually, that's pretty darn good. I'm not going to tempt fate to try to trim it anymore, because with my luck, I will trim it too much. So this gives it a nice mat, a wooden look of a mat, and then it'll go on this black card panel. Okay, so that's my card and my card base. Now we just need to get our stamping platform and stamp our sentiment. All right, so I've got my... Oh, and by the way, there is a coupon that you can use for purchasing at Blue Knight Rubber Stamps, and that coupon code is SW15, and that coupon expires on Saturday, and that is the 20... Okay, let me get my date book out here because I don't have my calendar up on my computer. February. Okay, so on February 27th, that's when that coupon code expires. And that's when we will pull our winners too. So you want to check out Nancy Stamps February 27th at 7 p.m. for us to pick our winners. I am going to take the Bible verse, which says, "Oh, the joys of those who trust the Lord." Okay, and I'm not sure I'll have it lined up right because it is a red rubber stamp and you cannot see through it like a photopolymer stamp. I wanted to call it a polycarbonate stamp. That's not what it is. It's a photopolymer stamp. So I'm going to take icing on the cake, which is our deep dark brown color from Catherine Pooler. I have a piece of acetate down. I'm going to stamp on it just to make sure that I have my sentiment lined up right, and I don't. It's actually crooked. You can tell just by looking at it. So let's erase it off of the acetate. Let's try that again. Let's try to get this straight. Of course, without my glasses, I am not doing a very good job of that so far, but we're going to get there. That looks good. I wanted to show you my little Blue Knight rubber stamp wooden, whoops, that's why you have this. Okay, so you've got it, put it on the back, there's a metal plate, magnetic wood block, that way you can hold your stamp pad in your hand and greatly reduce the risk of dropping it. But I dropped the other side of it. Luckily, I did not get any on my card panel. All right, so let's put our magnet back down. Let's go ahead and stamp this with icing on the cake, Catherine Pooler, holding on to my handle here. Okay. I like that sentiment. It's really pretty. I love the font. That's nice. Okay, next we want to stamp our bumblebees. I want to make sure I have them in the right direction, not flying upside down. Okay. All right, and I'm going to use my acetate again just to make sure I have them flying in the correct direction. I'm gonna grab a different piece. I'm worried that one had ink on it. This one looks like it has some ink on it too. Let me just wipe this off. Okay. I see the ink. I hope it's dry. Okay, let's go ahead and stamp our butterflies using that same brown ink, icing on the cake. Just doing this to make sure I have butterflies flying in the right direction. Oh yeah, they're flying in the right direction. That looks good. This is the only one I might change. Let's see if I tilt him in that direction. Does it look better? Kind of looks like he's flying away from the flower if I do that. What I'll do, I think, instead is have him down here between these two flowers. That might work better. Okay, that's good. Okay, let's go ahead and stamp our bumblebees with icing on the cake, which is a dark brown ink from Catherine Puller. Well, that looks good. I like it. Okay, last step is just to go ahead and put our card together. This pattern paper is from just one of those. This is from a 12 by 12 book of like wood grain backgrounds that I got from a big box store at one point. Okay. I think I just need to trim it down just a little bit more. I do want to have a little bit of a better sight so I can actually have a nice look at that mat. That mat is really pretty and we want to be able to show it off. Take a little bit off here. Just a tiny bit off here. It's like, that's what's so nice about a guillotine trimmer. You have so much control over how much you take off. It looks really good. Nice clean edge, everything. Okay, this is it, you guys. Make sure you check out all the other videos. Make sure you comment, like, give me a thumbs up. If you're not a subscriber, I would love it if you would subscribe to my channel, and we'll have some fun making some more cards. But in the meantime, here is my follow-up card for After Stamp Wars. There's one more thing I like to do when I have a sunflower card. I don't know why, but I like to add twine. I guess because it's got a rustic sort of country feel to it. And that's my last step. I put it inside here. And then I just cut it with my scissors. Okay, and then I'm going to tie it in the middle, or you can even tie it to the top. Let's tie it to the top. Give it a top tying bow. I'm not very good at making these bows on these cards. That's one thing I'd love to learn to do a better job. I have a friend in my stamp club. She can make them real tiny. I don't know how she does it. Hers are so cute because they're so tiny. Mine are big and loopy. They're not tiny. Okay. Remember, SW15 for your discount code over at Blue Knight Rubber Stamps. Make sure you go over there and pick up some great stamps while we have the discount for the FSC. Bye, everybody. Thank you.